listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, welcome to LA40 on LA Talk Radio. Happy Thanksgiving. It is Thanksgiving morning here in Los Angeles, Thanksgiving afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and maybe not even Thanksgiving if you're tuning in from somewhere else around the world. I think it's already the 25th in Australia right now. I'm your host, Katerina Cozias, and I'm happy to have you join us for another edition of LA40, Life After 40. Today, we're going to be gabbing about technology and the generation gap. So, LA40 is a play on the words Los Angeles 40, Life After 40, and all of the things that come with getting a little bit older and on in life. The fact that, contrary to what society sometimes likes to tell us, we don't lose our value as we get older. We actually gain and are able to spread value to the world. And we're going to be talking about how technology has affected that. I am joined today, very thankful on this Thanksgiving Day, to be joined in the studio by Lois Whitman Hess, who is the Digidame herself. Now, Digidame is one of the must-read tech blogs, and it's primarily geared at those over the age of 55, helping them get in the know on what the heck is happening in this technological world that we're running in. She is joined today by her husband and co-owner of their PR firm, HWH PR. It's one of the best PR firms in on the East Coast, and I'm so happy to have you both, Eliot and Lois. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you?
We're terrific to be here. Katie used to be a client of ours, and now she's a major national personality star. So we're thrilled to join her today. This is a whole new thing for all of us.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to have you here because, first of all, it's Thanksgiving. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. But the fact that you're in Los Angeles and you can be part of this show for me is great. And we're really excited to delve into all of that. What I want to do before we get into the tech side of things is talk a little bit about Thanksgiving, because it is Thanksgiving. I've got some fun facts. So first of all, Lois, Eliot, what's your favorite part of Thanksgiving? Is it the food? Is it the thankfulness? What did you do this morning?
You know what's interesting? Even though I'm older now, way over 40,
okay.
I'm a big social media person and participant.
Okay.
I'm not claiming to be anything else more than a participant. And I think what the fun part these days is that you get on Facebook and you see the comments that people make, and you start to delve into their personalities and what people are really grateful for. So I'm here in LA with Eliot, visiting our West Coast cousins, the Youngs, the Jeff Young family. Hello,
Shout
everybody.
out to the Jeff Young family.
Hello.
Yes.
In Sherman Oaks there, my daughter Whitney and Frederick, her boyfriend, are with us also. We're thrilled to be here.
Fantastic.
We're thrilled to be with you. So for me, it's not really food, and it's just being alive and seeing everyone happy in this world. And you, Eliot?
It's another meal that Lois doesn't have to make. It's fabulous. The family makes it. It's a big deal.
Yeah.
And we love coming out to LA. We've been here many, many times over all the years, and this is just fun. We look forward to coming here all the time.
Absolutely. And, Thanksgiving is one of those times where you really do take a moment and give thanks. But we want to remind people that this isn't always something that you overlook. You always have to give thanks on every day. We actually have a call coming in, so let's take this call and see who is looking to gab with us first thing in the morning. Good morning. You're on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, my name is Paul Lambert. How are you?
Hi, Paul. Welcome to the program.
Why, thank you very much. You all look fabulous on television here, on video.
Fantastic. Thank you, Paul. Paul, what are you thankful for this morning?
I'm most thankful for knowing Lois and Eliot and all that they've done for so many people. And this topic that you guys are talking about today, I think it is really important and really exciting.
Well, do you mind my asking, Paul, how involved are you with technology? What age bracket are you in? What decade are you living?
I'm 65 years old,
all right.
And Lois Whitman kicked me and shoved me and taught me, and I am now, getting there. But it is a whole new world, and I'm involved in some other projects that are using social media really big by other agencies that are doing it really right, even in some television now for this next year. So I'm very, very excited about it. But on this subject of, what you do in the second chapter of your life,
yes,
I had the pleasure of working with a number of people that about age 50, 55 really took a pivot. And I'm really here to tell you and them and everybody else, it is one of the most exciting things you can do in your life is to make that pivot. And an example for me was Sidney Sheldon, the great writer. Did you have any idea that he wrote his first novel when he was 55 years old?
There you go.
And yet that's what he's known for today.
There you go. And that's exactly the premise of the show, Paul. I'm so glad you brought that up because, you know, I'm dealing with a similar thing. I'm heading into my 40s, and a lot of people feel that it's time to give up. This is a man who, at 55, was taking a next step and really contributing to society. And I think it's so very important, regardless of what age you are, but especially in that later chapter, that you harness who you are, the life experiences you've had, and you really can contribute. And I'm glad to hear you share that story because it's so very important. Do you feel that you've got a lot of energy left in your life?
I feel like I'm just beginning.
Perfect.
All I've learned up till now, all the mistakes you've made, all of the bruises and the black eyes and everything else you carry into your next ventures really do make you qualified to be a little wiser and a little more energetic and a little more optimistic about you've made all those mistakes and you can really get going. And I got to tell you, when you see the energy of Lois and Eliot and you watch what they do and their transformation, both as people and as business entrepreneurs, it is just exciting to be a part of surrounding yourself with the kind of executives and people that are going and teaching you and leading you like they do so many of us.
Absolutely.
So I'm just thrilled that they're in LA. I mean, they're in California. I live in Northern California now, lived in New York for 30 years.
Wow.
And I think some of our best years are yet ahead.
Absolutely. Paul, thank you so much for tuning in. Lois, Eliot, did you have anything to say to Paul?
Yes. Paul is a classic example of not ageless. He doesn't know how old he is.
Great.
Nothing is impossible. He goes out for what he wants to do. He soaks up life. He's seen ups and downs. He's the one that brought Eliot and I very involved in the Broadway business. And he's Mr. Show Business himself. And he has a very positive outlook on life. And he's got a great mother who taught him a lot about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Perfect. Paul, thank you so much for dialing in. Thank you for
You're
tuning in
welcome.
with us. And please spread the news of LA40 because it's going to be, you know, a very important topic that we want to delve into here every week and remind people
Thank
that there's
you.
so
Sure,
much good
will
stuff
do.
happening down the pipe.
Glad to be with you.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Thanksgiving. Cheers, Paul.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye-bye.
How lovely was that?
Beautiful.
He's perfect for that because he's a great motivator. And, you know, in life, you know, there's a lot of people that turn 40, 50, 60, and they think, well, it's over. So I missed it. I couldn't do it. You know, they play the victim role and they don't try new things. And in the world of digital, anyone could do anything.
Oh, absolutely. Before we delve into that, because I definitely want to talk about digital and the expansion of this World Wide Web that we live in and that is allowing us to broadcast right now. I did want to make a small shout out again on this Thanksgiving morning to Barry's Cafe. Barry's Cafe, for anybody that's local to Los Angeles, Barry's Cafe on 3rd is celebrating their 20th anniversary next week, headed by Raphael Barry. He's the owner, and the reason I bring him up is he's another example of somebody who is living life to the fullest. Barry's Cafe and the team are heading down to Los Angeles' Skid Row today to help feed the homeless.
Wonderful.
That's beautiful.
And so if there's anyone local to LA that's out there that would like to help contribute, they go down every year. He's been doing this for 20 years. From the first year that he opened the restaurant, he would take a team and they would cook on Thanksgiving and they would take a meal down there. So if you're interested, right now between 10 and 12 noon here in Los Angeles, they're at Barry's Cafe Hollywood location where they're prepping. That's at 7123 Sunset Boulevard. So 7123 Sunset Boulevard. At noon, they're going to be heading down to downtown Los Angeles, and they're going to be feeding the homeless. So if you'd like to help with that, I would urge you to do that. It's a way to give back, and you can find out more on their website. It's barryscafela.com.
I want to do a shout out today too because it is Thanksgiving. And we just found out that some of our relatives and the people of Haifa, Israel, are facing some really crazy wildfires that are put out by terrorists. And it's all over the internet right now. And I just want to say to Rachel and the family, we're with you. We're thinking about you, and we're all in this together. So thank you. Thank you for that opportunity.
Oh, no, absolutely. And we'd love to interact with you the way Paul called in. We've got a dial-in number here. And as we go through the topics we're going to be covering today, please feel free to call in and share your thoughts with us. The dial-in number is 818-570-5085. So again, that's 818-570-5085. I promised that I would memorize this. I haven't yet.
You will.
Going back to technology, when we were younger, when I was younger, back 30 years ago, do you remember we used to have to memorize phone numbers? And we had in our brains some 30 phone numbers that we could call out on demand. Now we all have these smartphones with the directories built in. And I think the only number I know is mine and maybe my parents, because they've had the same number for 30 years. And that's a landline. So how much, Lois, and Eliot both, does technology contribute to our lives, and how much is it taking away?
Well,
in terms of my memory.
It's very funny because for $1 million, I could not tell you Eliot's phone number. I don't know it. I know it's 414 something or other, but I have no idea. So if I was like lying on the ground with an ambulance above me, I could not tell anyone. I mean, that's a scary thought, but that's where we're going.
Right.
But it's very much a part of our lives. Eliot and I have a PR agency for over 40 years. And we're lucky because of technology that a number of years ago we went virtual. All of our people work all over the world for us. Some are permanent, some are permanent part-time. And it's really made life after 40. We are so lucky to be alive right now with all this technology. Even speaking to you today, I mean, it's changed our life.
So, Eliot, how does it go? How does it feel going from a traditional office setting, which again, a lot of companies are resisting, to running a virtual PR office with people?
I absolutely
love
it.
Okay.
Love it. You waste so much time commuting, especially in New York or out here in LA as well. So, look at all that other time you have now to do other things. So I love it. We work, in Miami, and we go all over the world. I'm a photographer. I've been a photographer most of my adult life, and this is absolutely fabulous. It gives us a chance to still work, to still explore, and just to connect with people. And it's just invisible, and nobody knows where we are. It's just fabulous.
And you can still be productive.
That's right.
Sitting, on your own very own balcony, sipping your coffee in your pajamas.
Right.
I do want to tell. This is a great opportunity. I do want to tell everyone that doesn't understand working virtually how fabulous it is, because we start sometimes 5:30 in the morning, and sometimes we don't end till 10:30 at night. But between, we're doing lunch with people, we're traveling, we're doing our special interests, we're working basically around the clock. And people don't get the advantage of that. And sometimes I even have a client that once in a while says, "Oh, I saw you at this art fair, or I saw you at this restaurant, you don't have enough time for me." We are giving people more time than ever before because we know how to connect. And I try to encourage people over 40, and especially 50 and 60, to find something that they could do that's digital, because you can have it both. And for those that think that they don't want to have it both, they have no idea what they're missing out on.
In terms of the freedom. Oh, absolutely.
There's no boundaries. That's the best thing now. There are no boundaries whatsoever. And it's also funny where, you used to want to get out of the office at 5 o'clock or not get in before 9 o'clock.
Checking that clock, right?
Checking all that clock, running. The clocks are gone. And when you work virtually, even the people that work for you, it's 24/7. You can talk to them anytime, day or night, because they always have their cell phones.
Now, how much of that, though, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up today, is technology obviously has contributed in that capacity because it's allowing us the flexibility to work whatever time we want from wherever we want. But how much has it infringed on our personal lives for that very same reason? You used to be able to leave the office and disappear from 6 till the next morning. And now they're calling you at 10 p.m. and you sort of have to answer.
Shut your phone off.
That's Eliot's tip for today.
That's Eliot's tip, but he runs the financial ends of the business, so he could turn off. But we don't. I mean, I don't recommend that anyone turn anything off because, people think that they're not working 24/7. But I sit with people that are constantly, especially in the creative world, thinking about what they're doing all the time. They, when we go out to dinner or we just meet for a drink, they're constantly thinking. So you don't realize all the freedom you have in different times of the day that you didn't have before because you are open in your mind.
It's interesting because I read a study recently and it was talking again about the generation gap and the way different segments of the population use technology. And one thing that it was saying was that millennials, and that's anybody pretty much born after the age of or the year 1984, they are really always on. Their the social media element is just completely a part of their lives. Whereas Gen Xers, which is my generation, we use technology, we'll delve into it to do our online banking or to call an Uber, but we're not as active posting daily by minute on some of these applications.
Absolutely.
And as you get even older into the baby boomers and the seniors, they recognize that technology is there and available, but they're not infusing it into their lives. And so what are some of the things that you would recommend that people in a later stage in life can do to get a little more active on social media? Because it's coming so quickly. There's all of these apps and the Snapchats and the YouTubes and the Pinterests and, oh my goodness.
Well, a lot of people, that are older think that social media is an invasion of their privacy. Yet
I think it is.
Yeah,
but is it not?
But no, it's not. It's a wonderful world, and people should be taking advantage of it. I mean, I could open up my email, and someone will send me 32 pictures of their grandchild, yet they never post on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and they don't realize that might be more of an intrusion than just posting it and letting people see it at their leisure time when they want to go on and devote time to see all that. Social media is a great way to connect to your children, your grandchildren, friends from the past. I grew up in a place called Hilltop in Queens, and I'm now speaking to 32 people that I never would have connected. I would have thought have gone to the great yonder, and now we're chatting. And while that may not be the most important thing in my life or in someone else's life, it's still wonderful to see and share and help each other. It's wonderful. I mean, this Thanksgiving, I got 20 shout outs from people that I knew from the past, and people really should take advantage of it. When I hear someone say, this is going to be my last word.
Sure, absolutely.
When I hear someone say that anything negative about the digital world, I don't try to fight them anymore. I truly know that they don't understand. I am living the life that I wish everyone else would live if they would just take advantage of what's at their fingertips and stop complaining about how the world doesn't want to receive them because they're 45, 55, 65, 75. Everyone has a talent that they could share because of the digital world and make money at it as well. But I think it's more important for people to remain relevant. I mean, Eliot will tell you right now, he's a photographer and he's on Instagram. He's just starting and people are loving his work.
Right.
You want to add to that?
Well, you have choices in life. Just because the digital world is there, you don't have to use every aspect of it. But there's so much that you can use that you don't even realize. The thing that blows my mind more than anything else is when Google all of a sudden was able to tell you in a millisecond, the answer to any question you had in the world.
Yes.
I still haven't gotten over that. That's absolutely amazing. I love to know things. And I go on there. We sit, we watch television sometimes, and Lois says, "What's the name of that person on the screen?" and everything. And I have to get up out of bed or whatever we're watching and run and get the answer. So that you're saving time, and if you're saving time, you have more time to do other things that you really want to do. But that doesn't mean you have to be on the your smartphone all the time. You'd use it when you need it.
I'd like to send this out to the listeners as well. And if you're just tuning in, you're tuning into LA40, Los Angeles and Life After 40, all things global. We're talking to Lois and Eliot Hess right now about the technology and the importance of technology regardless of what age you find yourself at. Join the conversation. You can dial in to us at 818-570-5085. I'd like to know, you at home, what age you are and how involved you are with social media and the digital age. Lois mentioned, Eliot, that you are a photographer.
Yes, I am.
And that's clearly a hobby of yours.
Well, I did it professionally.
Okay,
way
fantastic.
back in the ancient times, in the 1960s. You know? And I did a lot of work. I had a lot of shows. I used to do all of my own developing.
Sure.
We're talking about film, folks. You remember film that you used to put in your camera?
Did you have a dark room?
I had a dark room.
Ooh.
I spent tons of time in the dark room, endless hours. And, you know, I absolutely loved it. But in those years, you really couldn't make a living at it. And eventually, I did other things. And then that's where I met Lois. And then we went into business together 40 years ago. And, you know, that's another topic. You know, people bring up, how do you work with your wife all the time? And we have difference of opinions on that, but we'll save that.
Well, it's funny because the
for
show,
another show.
the show is LA40, and here you are. You've been together and working for 40 years. So
Yes,
we can
yes.
take that. We can take LA40 into your business
Yeah,
life.
we sort of make that equivalent to about 120 years together.
For the listeners, because there are, going back to this virtual world that we live in, there are a lot of couples choosing to work together and create a business. What's your number one tip for working and living together and not killing each other? How do you balance that?
You have to have separate responsibilities.
Okay.
You must. Otherwise, you will kill each other. You do.
Do you turn it off ever when you get home, or does it just become a part of your life?
We turned it off. We turned it off. You know, when we still had the office, it was a little bit harder because you know, we didn't see each other as much all day. But now we turned it off all the time. We go and socialize a tremendous amount. And also we travel a lot. And
going back to technology for just a moment and traveling, I've seen some fantastic photos that you've taken from many of your travels.
Yes.
And following Lois's blog, you post a lot of this via your blog as well and talk about the digital age and how things happen. One thing that, Eliot, going back to photography, that
Yes.
I miss a little bit from those days of film is the impending surprise that you would get from waiting to develop your pictures. So even if we go back 20 years to Kodak cameras, you would take the little yellow Kodak camera and you would snap your picture. You'd have 12 pictures in a roll, or 24 if you got the bigger roll, or 36, and you would have to take it in. You'd wait a week, and then you'd get your pictures back. Is this instant gratification of taking a picture, deleting it, oh, I don't look good in that one, take another one, is that not robbing us a little bit of this element of surprise, though?
No.
No.
No. Even when I shot film, I used to shoot a lot of film. The point is that, you know, in the 1/100th of a second that your shutter speed might be, it can change the entire, you know, concept and composition of your photograph. I shoot a tremendous amount of digital, and you know, now either I don't even delete most of it. You know, I just keep all of them.
Right.
But most people can. But I think it's wonderful.
We have a caller coming in. I'm going to cut you off for just
Go
a
right
moment.
ahead.
Let's see who's dialing into Gab with us this morning. Good morning. You're on LA Talk Radio.
Hi, I just wanted to see if they ever thought of retiring.
Have you ever thought of retiring?
That was part of any kind of plan that
There's no reason to retire as long as we can continue. As long as people continue to hire us, you know, we'll continue to do it. It works into our lifestyle, and I can't imagine, you know, that all of a sudden one day we say we're tired and we have to sit and do nothing, because that's just not who we are.
Is it society that, again, gives us this feeling that we should retire, and how much of that has been blown out of the water?
Too many people that we know that have retired, that couldn't wait to retire, all right? sort of went downhill once they did. You know, their brains, you know, were not being used the way they should be.
I'm going to ask our caller. Caller, what was your name?
Jeff.
Jeff, are you looking forward to retirement, or do you plan to keep working? And are you working at your passion right now? Maybe that's another question.
I think I'm less inclined to retire now than I was before.
Okay.
I'm not near it, but I think I'm less inclined.
Why?
Well, I see how people live their lives and keep themselves involved in something that they enjoy doing.
Do you
maybe more on their own terms later in life?
Do you feel that technology and the world we're living in has allowed people to work later into their later years?
I would imagine that because of technology, because of things like Skype, if people, for example, are not inclined to travel as much, either because they just don't want to, or perhaps as they've gotten older, perhaps there's some more physical demands on them that they don't want to take on, that they can interact with clients visually. And I think it's probably in people who are getting older in their interest to get involved more in technology, so that they have the ability to reach out in a way that they couldn't before.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call, Jeff. We have another caller coming in. We're going to let you go, but we appreciate you listening and keep working. All right, we've got another caller. Let's see. Hi, good morning. Welcome to LA Talk Radio.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, to you too. So I believe you have some friends of mine who are guests today. I thought I'd check in and see how it was going. And
fantastic. And who are you?
I'm Steve Greenberg.
Hi, Steve Greenberg. How are you? Welcome to LA Talk Radio. I know you're friends of Lois and Eliot's. What are Steve, what are your thoughts on technology and the world we live in these days?
Well, it's sort of like either if you don't get on the train, you're going to miss the train. So it's basically where the world is heading, whether you like it or not. And to ignore it means to really miss a lot of opportunities, because technology is sort of where we are right now, for better or worse. I know a lot of people are rejecting it or afraid of it, but it's what we have to be relevant. You have to be on that train.
Now, how comfortable are you with technology? And are you over 55?
I am.
And how comfortable are you with technology, Steve? What would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you feel?
Well, I mean, I'm probably very familiar with a lot of technology because a lot of it's my work.
Okay.
But just like everybody else, I have a lot of problems with making things work. So a lot of times I'm spent banging my head. I actually
what
try
work
to get
do you
on
do?
This show,
okay.
And I was clicking around trying to follow the instructions that I saw on Facebook, and was hitting. I saw that it said I needed to download Flash 10.1, which I guess I hadn't downloaded on my Mac.
Oh boy!
So I couldn't get the audio. So it's. I'm not saying it's easy, but the same token, you have to keep trying. If you give up, you're going to miss the boat. Do
you find it difficult, though? Do you find it, the ease of...
It's a job. It's to stay relevant is work. If you sit back and don't participate, then yeah, it's much easier to do nothing. To actually jump in and try and stay relevant and make everything work and try and stay on the cutting edge of whatever the new technology is a job. It's work.
And I think, and this is the beauty of Lois's blog, and I think one reason it's doing so well is because if you follow Lois on Digidame, she will tell you what you need to be doing to keep in the know. And if you do what she tells you to do, or you at least become aware of whatever the new app is or whatever the new social media platforms are, it's not all going to snowball on you. You can keep step by step aware of how the world is evolving right now, which I think is incredibly important.
I have to just do a shout out because Steve is one of my sources where I get a lot of my information from. He is over 55. It's news to me. I mean, I thought he was younger, but
sorry to call you out on that, Steve.
So it's Steve Greenberg, and Steve travels the country. He's a TV personality. He appears on all the morning shows around the country. and he's also on the Today Show. He's the Innovation Insider.
There you go.
And he's a great inspiration to a lot of people because he's showing everyone all of these wonderful gadgets that make our lives easier. So it's a great tribute to him. And people just think that he just finds this stuff like in his backyard. He is constantly working 24/7 looking for new products that he could demo on the air. And he lives the life that I wish most people would do it, because he travels a great deal. He just was in Africa. You know, he's been all over the world.
And I'm guessing you're working virtually a lot as well if you're on the move, Steve.
Yeah. He can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, my computer's with me everywhere, and I have to be, you know, if I don't have Wi-Fi, I don't have a connection, then I'm really helpless. So I'm in Japan or Germany or wherever I go, I have to have some time online so that I can, email, check on stuff, and just keep looking around. So it's, staying connected is part of all of this. You can't just retreat from it.
Steve, if you had to pick one gadget that was brought to the market in 2016 that people really need to know about, what would that be?
Wow, that's a very tough question.
Probably because there's so much innovation.
You know which one Steve, you know which one I'd pick? 3D
What, Eliot?
3D printing. 3D printing.
Well,
I know it's not just this year, but it just seems like it's gaining tremendous,
Think about it this year, though, is the price point has come down.
Yeah,
I mean, as soon as last year was over $1,000. Now I see 3D printers under $300, in the $200 range. So the price has dropped dramatically on it, and it's definitely something that more and more of us have to get our hands on. I actually used it to solve a problem in my home. I had some sliding curtains that had a little tab that was broken from the sun, and they were all like falling apart. The company was out of business. I'd have to replace all of them. I took one that was still in good shape, brought it to someone, had it scanned, then had someone else print it out. And now I have my, those sliding drapes are still hanging because I was able to recreate it through a 3D printer.
This boggles my mind.
Wait a minute, I have something major to add.
Boggles my mind.
My daughter Whitney and boyfriend Frederick Selby bought me a piece of jewelry that is the most stunning thing, and it is all 3D printed out of Brooklyn, New York.
The necklace you're wearing now.
Yes.
And my gosh.
And what was so wonderful is that they made a tribute to me because they know that I love digital technology, and this piece of gorgeous jewelry was made on a 3D printer.
Wow.
And it's metal. It's brass.
And it's brass and it's metal.
And I actually was, when I was in Japan, I was at a show called C-Tech, and I was in a 3D printed car. The panels on the car, it's a Honda carriage, but the pieces on the outside are all able to be printed on a 3D printer, a large 3D printer, but it allows you to go in there and literally customize each car for each person. So if Lois wanted something that looked like sunburst, she could build that into the pattern, and then her car would be all sunburst. If Eliot wanted, moons, it could be all moons. You could do whatever you want to do.
Exactly. I was at a, sorry to cut you off, Steve, but the implications for benefiting humanity from something like 3D printing is just massive. I was at a seminar, not a seminar, I'm sorry, it's a group event last weekend. Metal International, whoever is in the media and entertainment technology world, Metal International is a team of change makers in those fields that really are bringing new ideas to the marketplace. And one of those was a company that was 3D printing prosthetic limbs.
Yes.
And they were taking these limbs into the Sudan and helping children that were victims of landmines.
Right.
What they were able to do because of 3D printing is take the cost of a prosthetic arm, normally $15,000. With 3D printing technology, they have brought that down to $100 per arm. I mean, this is incredible stuff.
Absolutely.
Incredible stuff. We have another caller on the line. Steve, we're going to let you go. Thank you so much for dialing in, and all the best of luck. Real quick, Steve, where can we find you?
They can check on Twitter at SteveTV, or go to my website, which is stevegreenberg.tv.
Absolutely.
Either place, they can always reach me. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
Steve.
Thanksgiving.
Cheers. Hi, good morning. Welcome to LA Talk Radio.
Hello?
Hi, yes. Can you hear us?
Yeah, that's Steve Greenberg. Very interesting with the 3D printing.
Oh,
I like that.
absolutely. That was incredibly interesting. And you know, like we were saying, the technology and the ability for us to evolve is going to be great. I did have a question for Lois and Eliot. What do you think of driverless cars?
Scary.
How so? Why?
Well, you know, it's only at its infancy. It will be, you know, the future. Makes sense. I remember as a young boy, you know, growing up where they were talking about having driverless cars, you know, on the.
Did that feel like the future?
Well, yeah. Well, in that time, everything was the future because everything was sort of still, you know, back in the 1940s mentality. But no, they were talking about it in terms of having these sort of you know, magnetic strips on the, you know, national highways, and they would, you know, sort of follow the strips. I knew that, you know, that it would only be a matter of time. It makes sense, you know. It's very science fiction, but you know, they'll get it right.
What I wonder, though, the thing with electric, or not electric cars, but driverless cars, to me is the emotion behind buying a car, the human emotion behind buying a car, really is what drives most people. Okay, there's the functionality of buying something that's going to get you from point A to point B, but how many of us buy a car based on what we're going to gain emotionally, the image that we're going to portray? There's a difference between buying a Chevrolet and buying a BMW and buying a McLaren.
That's never going to, that won't stop. That will never stop. But, you know, for other people that need to get from one place to another and, you know, just have, you know, a regular car, it will replace, you know.
I can't wait for it because I have to sit next to Eliot when he drives. And I'm just waiting because my life is going to...
You know, they're proven to be much safer in terms of the car's ability to assess the environment around it. So I think I had heard something like 600 shoulder checks per 30 seconds. So they're supposed to be much safer, and they are being tested practically in many parts of the world right now.
It will work in some environments. I think, look, everybody still wants to get into a car. There's an emotion about it.
Well, for now, though, but everyone wanted to have a camera where you clicked and you had to wait, and that has moved on.
That's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. You know, you get into a car, you just, some people have different personalities. Yes, there's lots of accidents, there's all kinds of things. But cars have also been getting much safer over all the years than what they used to be. I mean, I remember growing up, there was no such thing as seatbelts. You know,
I think the most dangerous thing on the road today are young women on their cell phones, putting their mascara on, smoking a cigarette, texting. We live in Miami Beach right now, and we're also, you know, we spend a lot of time in New York City, and we're out here in LA. And I always think it's like, you know, an older Hell's Angels guy, you know, with a helmet on and glasses on that's cutting us off, and we pull up to see who's behind the wheel. It's young women. I can't wait for driverless cars. I just think that people today are multitasking, and they're so occupied with thinking internet thoughts that they just don't have the patience.
I wanted to ask you, speaking of things that change, what do you think of Amazon's Alexa? Now, for those of you who may not be familiar with Alexa, Alexa is a voice control system. Looks like a speaker. You set it up in your house. There's no on or off switch to this device. Stands about, you know, a foot high. And you can literally speak a command into Alexa, and she will find the answer for you. So back to what Eliot was talking about a little bit earlier with Google, this is a voice activation at your fingertips. You can say, Alexis, what's the weather right now? And she'll respond to you.
That is true. And I'll tell you what, a very funny story about Alexa. I received one for my birthday.
From the Greenberg family.
Howard,
Ruth, Myra, and Gary.
Okay.
And I was the one that loved it the most.
Okay.
So we have it set up, and we have it, you know, near one of our TV sets.
Okay.
And sometimes Alexa just wakes up. You know,
does she hear this?
Depending on what is being said on the TV.
Such as, give me an example.
All right, so, you know, let's say the character's name, you know, in something we're watching is named Alexa.
Oh.
Then
Or
all
Alexis or Alexander.
or anything close to her name, Alexa. You can change the name, by the way. It doesn't have to be Alexa. You can change it to.
And all of a sudden, we're in the room, and it's quiet, and we're just about to fall asleep, and a voice, like someone else is in the room with us, will say to us, "Is there something I can help you with?"
I don't understand that command.
Well, we jump out of our skin because we think like we've been burglarized or some monster has come into the room.
Yeah,
it's
very
really
funny.
amazing.
How often do you use Alexa?
We use it all
We
the
use it-
time.
we use it all
For
the
what?
time.
What would
All right,
you ask her?
You say, let's say whatever.
Elliot's saying, "Play me Adele.
Yeah, oh,
What's
yeah,
the
no.
weather? What's the baseball score?"
Well, here, you talk about.
And she goes into the ether. She goes into the cloud.
She goes into the
and
ether.
finds the information and
Right.
speaks it back to you.
There's still, maybe I might be wrong, and if anybody's out there, you can tell me if I'm wrong. But when we were watching the World Series and we wanted to know what the score was, immediately, she doesn't have that capability right now. All right, and all she gave me was like the last night's, scores and who won the day before.
So they're coming up with their programming.
Yes.
Alexa, Echo, Amazon knows all general information. They know
Right.
the weather, but instantaneous stuff, like what's happening, like right now, that will happen, I'm sure, within months.
Over time. We have
Yes.
a caller coming in. Let's take a new caller. Hi, good morning. Welcome to LA40.
Hey, good morning. It's Kent Karrison, the president and CEO of Fisher Center for Alzheimer's Research Foundation. Lois asked me to call in.
Hi, Kent. How are you? Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Sorry I'm a few minutes late, but the pies were taking a few minutes to make.
We're
I'm on
talking.
the East Coast.
Sure, absolutely. We're talking about Alexa, the Amazon's digital speaker, voice-activated speaker device. Are you familiar with Alexa?
Well, it's funny. My AV guy was here yesterday,
Okay.
and I'm getting one.
Now, my question to all
Wait,
of you
wait a second.
is,
I have to tell you
sure,
something.
absolutely.
Kent has a very interesting story.
Okay, what's
and I
your
know we have
story,
limited
Kent?
time.
What's the
But he's
story?
the author, and I know, Katie, this is dear to your heart too. He's the author of a book that he'll tell you about very quickly because we have time, and it just became, I believe, digitally available. So, Kent, why don't you just quickly tell, because it's a very important topic to a lot of seniors.
Sure, Kent.
Sure, Lois. Thank you so much for having me on the radio.
Absolutely.
My book is called "Why Can't Grandma Remember My Name?" It is about Alzheimer's, and I used artwork from kindergartners juxtaposed to artwork done by Alzheimer's patients.
Wow.
And it explains not only to the young people, but it also explains to older people what the disease is all about and why people get angry and why people forget. So
Now, did you have Alzheimer's?
powerful-
I'm sorry to cut you off. Did you have Alzheimer's prevalent in your life? Was that a driver for you to write this book?
No. Mrs. Fisher, because I'm president of Fisher Center for Alzheimer's Research Foundation, had Alzheimer's, and I watched her literally go from the dance floor to not being able to speak.
Wow.
So it wasn't in my family. At least I don't remember. But
I just got that.
I can be a little funny, especially on Thanksgiving. I do this out of a passion, so that Dr. Paul Greenberg, who's a Nobel laureate 2000 in medicine, and his team of 50 scientists can get enough funds to stop this disease. Cure it is the point. Once you have it, there's no cure, but we're trying to proactively prevent it from happening by using tools of measuring beta amyloid and things like that. And we're in the process of developing a drug that will, if we see not unlike breast cancer or PSA. If we see a buildup of beta amyloid, which is the enzyme that creates the plaques and tangles in your brain, if we see too much before it affects you, we'll give you a pill that will do one of two things, because we're multitasked here. One will drain the beta amyloid faster from your brain, and one will prevent it from
accumulating.
Accumulating.
Gotcha. Kent, I would love to have you and invite you back onto the program on a future episode, because this is something, and memory loss in general, it's just different than Alzheimer's itself, but it's something that, you know, as we get older, we start to lose, and so it'd be a really fascinating conversation. I will get your information from Lois, if that's okay, and reach out to you, because it's a topic that I'd love to delve into in a little more detail on a future episode.
Excellent. I hope everyone has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Same to you.
And
we'll talk to you soon.
And I can't wait to see Lois and Eliot back in Miami.
We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thank you, and have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, and happy
Love
anniversary.
To Brian.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. So you had an anniversary just this past week. How many years married?
120.
120 years.
No, realistically, how many? 37 years.
37 years. So just like going into your 40s, the marriage is going into its 40s. It's going to be growing and expanding a little bit, I'm sure. Still keeping it fresh. That's a whole other episode. But I do just want to go back to Alexa for just a moment, because one thing I wanted to touch on before we close up this episode, we're running short on our time here, is, are you not concerned at all about the privacy issues around this device? My concern personally is that we are now placing this device in our homes. There's no on and off button, like I mentioned. And Amazon is able to accumulate and track pretty much everything. It can start to profile you, and it's listening all the time. Are you not concerned a little bit about the infringement into your private lives?
You gave up your privacy many years ago. There's no privacy left.
I remember we had Samsung was our client for 17 years, and there was a gentleman named Andy Kritzer, shout out to him, and he refused to use the Easy Pass on the George Washington Bridge because he didn't want anyone to know if he was coming back, you know, where he was traveling to. I'm sure Andy's life has changed dramatically.
Tremendously.
And Alexa in our bedroom, let me tell you.
Alexa can tell us some secrets.
Our life is pretty much an open book, and whatever anybody saw or heard from Alexa in our bedroom is pretty much what they see all the time. So we're not that concerned about it.
No.
We, Alexa, and I just want to point out that the name Alexa, they actually named it after the library in Alexandria.
Yes.
That's where the name came from. And you said that you can change her name, so that's interesting.
I'm pretty sure you can. You can change it away from that.
I just want to bring up something, because I was just thinking about what I was wearing today. There are many times that I have clients all over the world, and you know they want to speak to me at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and I haven't taken my shower or washed my hair or done anything yet. So I put on these glasses. I put on this fabulous scarf, the Riviera wrap scarf that anybody can buy on the internet.
Perfect.
And I just put this on. I put on my red lipstick, and I'm good to go.
You get in front of the computer
in front
screen
of the computer,
Skype.
and nobody knows that I'm 105 years old.
You're in your pajamas. You're in your bedroom.
I'm from the waist down. Whoa! Half the time I don't even have a bra on,
That's funny.
and that's a disaster.
So this is a tip for anyone that is working virtually.
Oh yeah.
You can gain the time by not even having to get dressed. Just throw on a scarf.
It's like a TV personality. You just dress from the underneath is in the nightgown. I just put on the fabulous scarf.
Absolutely.
And I put on the glasses, and
There
I
you
just
go.
put lipstick on, and I'm just ready
There
to
you go.
Inside information.
We're gonna
most news anchors don't wear pants. You know?
Ooh, there you go.
The
On
men-
that
the
note, I was
men,
going to
you
say,
know.
on that note, we got to wrap up our episode. Thank you so much, both of you, for taking the time to
Thank
be
you.
here. It was this hour flew by, and it was great, relevant information for people to think about. How is technology affecting your life, and how can you be more open to introducing it into your world. You can follow Lois's blog, Digidame. Lois, where can we find you?
Easy, www.digidame, Digidame, like Digi and Dame,
like digital,
.com.
Digidame.com.
Or just look up Lois Whitman. It's
perfect.
I'm all over the internet.
And Eliot, photography fans, where can we see your work?
Eliot Hess
on Instagram.
Or EliotHess.com. I'm his publicist.
There you go. Or EliotHess.com.
That's the website, but I'm on Instagram all the time.
Perfect. Well, and we thank you for tuning in with us on another edition of LA40. Next week, you're going to want to tap in because we are going to be talking limiting beliefs. What are the limiting beliefs that may be holding you back from changing things up, chasing your dreams, pursuing your passion? We're going to be joined by a spiritual psychologist, Caitlin Hamilton, and also by psychotherapist Bianca Rodriguez. So we're going to have those two very qualified women on the show to help us understand where our limiting beliefs come from and how we are able to get past them. I'm Katerina Cozias. This was LA40. We thank you for being with us. We thank you for thanking Thanksgiving. It's a thankful day. Be well, be blessed. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers, everyone. Have a great holiday.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.